Yeah, I am. Making sure we got everyone. All right. Well, an eventful couple of days. With Adam being traded to the Vikings, I first wanted to just talk about, my time with him here, and just, the competitive spirit, the toughness, and really just the energy he brought every day, professionalism, and how it really impacted and affected, a really young group of wideouts and a young coach. It's something that, I'll take with me forever, just to kind of see, what it means to him to go out there every day and to get after it. And I remember him coming off the field in games. He's just like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you call. We got to make the play, and just challenging me, challenging the group, and that kind of fire, that'll be missed here. But I think this was kind of a transaction that happened where everybody, we met in a common ground, all across the board. And so, it just happened to work out this way. And he and I had a long conversation today where, it's just like, it's about patience and it's about the right thing being done, and I think we come away with this, and all of us, the Vikings, Adam, ourselves, I think we all come away with this thing feeling like we're in a good spot.
There were reports that he wanted to go back to Minnesota. Did he express that desire to you?
He never expressed that to me. I appreciate that about him. For me, it was like, he just couldn't wait to get back on the field, and he really kept it professional with me as far as just like, I play for you. I play for the Panthers. And so that's the approach he really took with me. And so that's the approach I took with him, and really up until, the last, couple of days where the conversation started to get more extended, and we had to make sure we were all on the same page, because this thing it might not have happened. You know what I mean? And we had to be able to be in a good place from a relationship standpoint where, when we do move forward, we got to make sure we're moving forward together. And I felt like we were there. And then over the course of a couple of days, and Dan and Brent and the crew in Minnesota, working through this thing, we found a common ground.
You said, I think you said you wanted to do right by Adam. We know what the Vikings gained. They needed a receiver. Adam wanted to go home. How do you guys benefit with this trade?
Yeah, I think it's just obviously what was exchanged in the, just in the details of the agreement. I think that's going to help us for a team that we're building and for our future. So we feel great about that part. And then I think it's just that receiver room, that continued to impress me, in different ways, different guys. And now the opportunity for guys like Jalen Coker, like Bryson Tmaine, David Moore, Jimmy Horn, these guys to step up and to find a huge void, a role that needs to be filled. And so, again, I think competition brings the best out in all of us, and here's another opportunity for us to compete for that. And we felt strongly enough about a young, talented group that we can do that. And I got to give credit to Rob Moore, who's really poured into this young group and really developed these guys, in the last year. And so, I just Keyshawn Coleman is nonstop with these guys, and so I just really feel great about where that group is at, and I'm excited to see what comes out of it.
Bryce really trusted Adam out there, and maybe the most dependable receiver the last couple of years.
Yeah.
What's the willingness to trade on him say about where Bryce is?
I just feel confident about Bryce's leadership. I keep coming back to that, but it really is, this is Bryce bringing guys together and making different attributes of our players, our skill players, speaking specifically about the receivers, come alive, and the guys that have flashed. It's all on our film every day, and these are guys that Andy and that Bryce have learned to trust. And so it allows them to, get excited about where we're going. But at the same time, we know who Adam is. We know what he could have brought to this team, and so we know that he's going to be missed in that regard, but there's also an excitement for the guys that are here.
Sorry. You referenced the void that is now there now that he's gone. Can you specify exactly what it is where you would like to see other guys step up?
Yeah, honestly, so we added T-Mac. So there's another guy that we want to get the ball to, and he's going to have his specific role. And I think it really just comes down to who's going to make the plays. I don't have to get into specific schemes. Adam makes plays. He consistently did that for his career, and certainly last year at the end of the season when he came back to us, he made plays. And so this is just an opportunity for guys to be there and to be available for Bryce, whether it's on a critical third down or whether it's to win the game, and these are incredible opportunities for them.
As much as you know what Adam brings to the offense, you've also seen the offense without Adam, and Jalen Coker got a lot of playing time in his stead. How much did his performance down the stretch last year, or at least while Adam was out, play into the conversations that you said, hey, we feel comfortable going in?
Yeah, it's a big part of it, right? There's guys that we're excited to see play more and to have those opportunities, and Jalen Coker certainly is one of those guys. And that was our message to all of them, right after the decisions were made. It's like, okay, here's an opportunity, guys, and so I'm excited to see, who steps up for us and who plays in those roles.
You also brought in a wide receiver and a cornerback who Evero has experience with. What do those guys bring to the table?
Yeah, so, big, strong athletes, we're trying to just elevate the speed, the size of our roster. We're continuing to look at all the practice squads, and while we have our initial 53 set right now, we're going to keep looking. We're going to keep looking at in all positions, throughout the course of this season to see if there's somebody that can help us in a specific way. So, I think Mathis has the traits, as a cover corner, and he's been in the league for a little while. And then I can't remember. Yes, Campbell, but is it DeLavon Campbell, yeah. So, but he's a guy that flashed as a gunner, and he made some plays down the field. He's got great speed and size. This is a fantastic player to be able to work with, and his physical ability will give him time to develop as a wide receiver. I do think he's a raw receiver right now. So, but again, he comes into the group and he gives us another element of speed to be able to work with.
What went into the decision to leave Renfrow off the 53, and have you all offered him a spot on the practice squad?
We've been in constant communication with Hunter since yesterday. He's talking to his family. He's talking to his agent, and we're all just kind of, we have a couple of things on the table for him, and we're just going to keep taking kind of one day at a time and see where he's at, and I just felt like, towards the end, like the last stretch of what I saw, I want to be able to count on Hunter to be as good as he was the whole time. And I just saw some peaks, and then I just saw some dips also in terms of his performance. And I just felt like, in fairness to the whole group, in fairness to the team, I wanted to make sure that he knew, I want to be a part of your future. I don't think right now is the time initially for this team. And so he just kind of said, I have to think about what I want to do. And so we're in communication right now. We're going to kind of take it day by day and see where we're at.
Dave, this is a pretty young wide receiver room now. You touched on this a little bit, but y'all been very developmentally minded. How much does that help you absorb a loss like this?
Absolutely. It's the nature of this thing is that if we coach our guys well and we accumulate the right talent, that we should see growth, we should see strides from our players, and that's the charge of our coaching staff, to pour into these guys so that we get to a point where we can make moves that make sense for everybody, that we can make moves and the next guy can come in and perform for us. And so it's an attribute to the atmosphere, to the culture, and again, to Rob Moore and to Brad, and Keyshawn, who are working with these guys all the time.
You went with 4 inside linebackers and 4 safeties. Do you feel comfortable with those numbers as well as the talent that's in there?
I feel comfortable with the guys who are here, but again, we're going to keep looking all across the league, and transactions happen weekly, and these rosters they're not set in stone by any stretch, and so we're going to continue to see, based on the film that we watched and where people ended up, to see if people can come in and help us. And the premium is going to be on special teams. Are these guys that we can count on game day, who have the attributes that we can develop as coaches from a positional standpoint.
Dave, back to the wide receivers for a second. Bryson Tmaine ultimately made the team.
Yeah.
Can you explain why you thought he was deserving of the spot? And is this a trend of this front office saying, hey, if you perform in training camp, you get your chance to do it?
I think it was the whole body of work for me with Bryson. It was our ability to trust him in a bunch of different roles. He played a couple of positions. So for people who don't know how hard that is, when you come into his first camp, he was in the meetings all spring, but he wasn't on the field. To be able to come in, play multiple spots, to be able to show us that he can do some stuff on special teams. That's exactly what we're looking for. The toughness in his style of play, the way he shows up in the run game blocking, just the high level effort that he gives every time he's on the field. It's exactly what we're looking for in the character of a player, a Panthers player. And so these are the guys that get rewarded, are the ones who are dependable and who are physical, and bring a variety of things that they can help us with on game day.
Was he a Brad suggestion or a personnel suggestion? I know Brad's got the Stanford.
It was a personnel move. So this is somebody that Dan identified that we gave a futures contract to from the Commanders, and someone that they had their eye on from last year. And, we didn't even get to see him in the spring, so we really weren't sure what we had, but he showed up healthy and in great shape. And his conditioning was at such a level that he can give maximum effort in everything he did, which is such a great, just a great note for everybody. Like, your fitness level allows you to do more, and he just consistently got himself out there and gave great effort.
With Adam leaving, how much does David Moore step up as the veteran voice in that room? Yeah,
David's been a kind of steady, consistent, calming presence for the younger receivers. He knows what it's like to battle his way onto a roster. We drafted him in the 7th round in 2017. He was on our practice squad for most of that year and really didn't start to see significant snaps until the 2nd year. So he knows what the grind looks like, and he understands the frustrations of a young player who is on the practice squad, and they can't just kind of give in to just a role on practice squad. You're trying to show us that you can help us on game day at some point. And so, he's kind of just been a sounding board for me in terms of the style, the effort, the characteristics, the attitude that we're looking for every day. And so I'm glad Demo's here, and I know he plays both sides, he plays both outside spots for us. So he's got versatility, and he's able to show the guys too. He'll also go in and catch a punt. He'll go in and cover. He'll go be a gunner at times. He'll cover a kickoff at times, and just the ability to learn more, to be able to do more, gives you a chance to develop and make plays in this league.
Where are you with Ryan Fitzgerald?
He's our kicker right now. But again, we're going to take this thing week to week, and see how he's doing, and kind of just continue to look at what's out there, and we'll make the right decisions for the Panthers as we go along with this thing.
Doesn't sound like a real strong vote of confidence. Was there something in preseason that gave you pause?
I would say the same thing for any other kicker that was here. This is a performance type of league, and these opportunities. There are so many guys out there that want these jobs. There's more kickers than there are spots, on the 32 teams. And so, again, it's that competition, and this is a good moment for him to take advantage of this opportunity that he has.
Two promising developments at practice today. Nick Scorton seemed to be full participant, and so is Tommy Tremble. Can Can you just give an update on their status?
Yeah, so Nick was cleared to be back into practice. He took about 50% of the snaps he would normally take, but he handled it well. I'll follow back up with Denny to see how he comes out, just following the practice. But he looked good. He was out there running around. Tommy, same thing, was excited to just get him to put hands on some people today and fill that part out because, again, that's the next step for him as we get ready for game week.
And Icky Kwanu?
Yes, so Icky had an appendectomy. So he had appendicitis. He wasn't feeling good. And then ultimately went to the hospital and they said, all right, well, we got to do surgery here. We have to remove this. And so he had his appendix removed. He's day to day. We've seen these things turn around in a little over a week. They can be longer, just depends on each individual body, how you respond to the surgery, how your body heals the right way. So he's going to be day to day, all the way up until the game. So that's something that we have to keep our eye on as we go.
When was the surgery?
That was Sunday night. So he started to feel sick a little bit before that, and then finally Sunday night he went in and then was diagnosed with appendicitis, and so they removed his appendix.
Understanding that all of this is a part of the business, including the Adam Thielen trade, what have the last 48, 72 hours been, in addition to the trade, really just the process of getting down to 53?
Yeah, it's always the hardest part for me. I think the week leading up to the last game, I feel it more. I can feel the stress. I can feel how important this is for all the guys, and so we can all feel that, and I just try to encourage the guys in that to just enjoy the day, gratitude for this moment, for all the hard work we've done together, and to make this last game a celebration of the work we've done to throw a great camp, and then you turn around to make these decisions, and they're really hard, but it's a really beautiful moment to be able to connect with a player. And I know it's a really hard day, but it's an opportunity to be able to speak some truth, at least my truth, from what I saw, from what the coaches saw, for what their next steps might be. We talk about being developmentally minded, and my hope is that they leave this place better than when they got here. And there was just a lot of appreciation for each other, and we were able to get a number of our guys, back on practice squad. But of course, it's not the full group that was here. And that takes a toll, on all of us, everyone around the building, and it's always, and I love a party. So it's also just way less people, and so then it just feels different, and the thing that always brings us back is just getting back on the grass, regardless of what happens before. When we get out there, at some point during that practice, we're just playing football again, and we were able to do that for the last 2 days. It feels different, and it feels there's all the emotions that are involved, and guys that people spend a lot of time with who aren't here. But to get back on the grass, to make it about football, to know that we're working towards something, brings us back.
You're also
a couple more.
You're also bringing in a couple of new faces too. I don't know how much you can talk about them, but Hendon Hooker and Jay Dallas, you have a background with. What can you say about those guys? Yeah,
I'll talk about DJ first. Was with DJ for a bunch of years in Seattle. A high character guy, a great teammate, a jack of all trades. He's a guy who can return a kick. He can cover. He can get in there and play running back, carry the ball for you. He'll catch it out of the backfield. So he does a lot. And I think just in general, too, just the culture piece of who we are, he fits right into the guys that we have here. Hendon Hooker is a guy that I loved in the process coming out of Tennessee. I had some great meetings with him. He really impressed me as a man, and a really high character guy with a lot of talent, a beautiful motion. A big strapping guy who can run, and I think, sometimes I think Coach Campbell said it right. Sometimes guys need a change of scenery, and he's had great training up there. I am very grateful that we get a player who's had professional training, for a while now with set and protections and run game alerts and a lot of the different things that, the offense that Detroit was able to build, like that I really admire, and to be able to bring a guy in who's had exposure in that, and the talent and the character that I'm excited about, I'm glad he's going to be here.
Last question.
Move forward with your reps at left tackle until you know what Icky's status is.
Yeah, Yash will practice at left tackle right now. Brady will get in some. Also, Brandon Walton, who was on our practice squad, played a little tackle in in the preseason games. So we have some options, that for guys that we can be able to kind of, spot fill that, and then we have to make decisions. And if he doesn't make it, we have to make decisions on who's up on game day. But again, I'm going to be super hopeful on this. We're going to take it day to day and just connect with Icky, and hopefully we can get him back out there on the grass at some point game week and be able to count on that.
Hunter, you said you had a couple options on the table. Are any of them non-playing options?
Could be. I mean, we're just talking about everything right now. I just want to be a part of his future of what he wants to do. I just told him that, and like in whatever capacity that is, whether it's the 53 or practice squad, that was just kind of the conversations that we left on. Right. Well, I'm just talking about wanting to be a part of him, like the guy that I remember, and I think that he's on his way back there. And I truly believe that, and I believe in him as a guy. I mean, I had such a blast, working with him in this, short amount of time. But, I'd love to see him back out there at some point. And so it's just a matter of us continuing to stay in touch and see where we're at. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yep.
Hello. Good. How you guys doing?
Buddy.
So
Yeah, I saw him back there. Ready. He's ready. You got the pads on already? My dog.
obviously Adam going to Minnesota. What's the range of emotions for you with him going back home as your friend, but also losing him as a teammate?
Yeah, obviously that's, it's part of the business. Someone who obviously has meant so much to us over these last couple of years on the field, but even more off the field. You guys get to see the Sundays, but what he's meant to the team, just in the locker room, the leader he's been, all that stuff, it's stuff that, it's part of the business. We're always gonna be close. I'm always gonna be rooting for him and his success. So, but with that being said, we're the Panthers obviously, and I have all the confidence in the world in the group that we have here in the receiver core and the offense. We have a lot of young guys that are ready to step up, ready to keep going. Guys that are hungry, that are working hard. So I'm excited for the group.
He seemed to consistently be openly positive about you and back you up throughout those last 2 years. How much did having a guy like that, along with Andy and some of the other vets, buy into you and your performance and stick by you?
Yeah, I mean, it meant a ton. I couldn't ask for a better vet receiver to come into the league with, to have those conversations with, to learn from. Again, him as a person, one of the best people I've been around here, and same as a player. So I'm always going to wish him the best. And again, for us now, obviously that's the nature of the business. You have to turn the page. You have to, figure out what's tangible, what we can work on, what we can do as a team to be the best version of the Panthers we can, and that's what we're focused on.
Talk to y'all after the announcement?
Yeah, it's everything happens really quickly. He was here for a second, just here early like he is, and then had to go. But yeah, I was able to see him, to talk to him. So obviously I'll keep that between us. But that's the business.
Right, he was a guy you trusted from the very beginning, just his route running sharp and everything. How do you replace that? And what's that say that the Panthers were willing to move on from that as far as where your progress is?
Yeah, I don't think that it's something you replace. It's just everyone, steps up and becomes the best version of themselves. Like you said, obviously Adam has been huge for us as offense. I have all the trust in the world in the front office and the coaching staff. It's not someone now has to change their game to do something else. We have a ton of great guys. We have all the confidence in the world in the receiver room. So it just becomes more opportunity and for guys to step into who they are, continue to grow and build. So we just want everyone to continue to be themselves.
It had been hard for guys like Jalen and T-Mac and all of them to get those opportunities you're referencing if Adam was back again.
That's not really up for me to decide. I execute the game plan, do what's best, but rotations, all that stuff, that's the front office, that's the coaching staff. They handle all that. But with how it is now, there'll be plenty of opportunity, and we have a great group.
Jalen seemed to thrive when Adam was sidelined last year because he was kind of making up for him in the lineup. What did you see from Jalen as he kind of down that stretch once you came back? What did you see from him, and then what have you seen from him heading into this summer and heading into the season?
Yeah, it was just great to watch him last year. Just coming to his own, get more and more reps, get more comfortable in the system. Someone that we feel super confident in, whatever his role is, and playing, all the positions. Again, everything's new, so the coaching staff decides his role is what everyone's role is. Will be something we decide ongoing, but. From there all the way till now in the off season, you just see more of him coming out. He's not having to think about plays and what to do, but being able to be the dynamic playmaker he is, him be able to bring all that he does to the game. So we're excited to continue to watch him grow.
Bryce, you look at that room now. There's, outside of David, a lot of youth in there, guys in their first year, their second year. Obviously, you're in your third season. In your role that you're at, how can you help bring those guys along so that you can kind of see the continuation of what you guys were able to do offensively last year? Yeah,
just all of us working together, staying in communication. The great thing about this group, like you said, it's young, and it's a lot of young guys that want to be great. That are hungry, want to work, want to be the best version of themselves, see the best offense we can be. So us continuing to have conversations, us push each other. Obviously as a quarterback, for me to lead by example on and off the field, and then make sure that we're all on the same page when it comes to practices. And I'm grateful to have a group like that where that's not difficult. They want to hear what I have to say. They want to be on the same page. So just us continuing to do that is going to be super important.
What do you know about Icky's situation and his, possibly going into the season without your starting left tackle?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. Obviously, the doctor side of it. Not a doctor, but obviously, Icky's healing up right now. Talked to him yesterday, and for him, it sucks even. There's no one that wants to be back on the field more than him. If it was up to him, he would have got up off the table and tried to come back and practice. That's the type of competitor he is. But, those aren't my decisions. Regardless of who it is, I'm going to have a ton of confidence in whoever's called up, whoever it may be. I'm always confident in the line. For sure.
Good. All right.
Appreciate you guys.
Sure.
With Adam leaving, obviously you had experience with him out of the offense a few weeks last year. How much did his prep with you and then you getting that time help you kind of ascend to your role that you currently have now?
Yeah, I mean, I think the time I spent with him was invaluable. Similar backgrounds, able to kind of relate to a lot of different things that some other guys might not be able to just because of our story of how we got here. So, yeah, I mean, just his guidance and, just him building my confidence and just kind of helping me throughout the way was, invaluable.
He kind of thrived at the slot and the Z position. Do you think you can have comparable success in this offense at those spots?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to be myself out there. So, I mean, I'm just going to continue to play my brand of football. And if that means I'm at the Z or the F or whatever that means, I'm going to do my best to, make plays.
What about, have you guys talked as a group now, you, X, T-Mac? It's kind of like the young guys taking over here. And that time, Bryce mentioned opportunities for you guys. Have you talked about that and going from there?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely an opportunity. I'm confident in our group, and, I really love, working with these guys every day. So I'm not, it's going to take all of us, but we're going to continue to work hard and, make plays.
Obviously, Adam had a special chemistry with Bryce, but it seems like you do too. When did you see that first start to develop, and where do you think that is now?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got great chemistry. I think just me being in the spot he wants me to be and me catching the football for him definitely helps breed that, that good chemistry and that trust. So just continuing to do that is going to be my main goal. And just I've seen it throughout the season. Just as the season went on, I just continued to catch the ball, and that just builds trust between quarterback and receiver.
You got another guy in the room with a similar story, and Bryson obviously carving out a role, on special teams as an undrafted guy. What's y'all's relationship like? What's impressed you the most about him is he's been able to make it on the 53 and, get out of the role that way?
Yeah, really good dude. I was able to train with him this offseason, so we got to know each other a little bit there too. He's from the Commanders as well, so that's where, I was born and raised in Leesburg, Virginia, which is right down the street. So we had some things to share, and he's a really good dude, and I'm glad that he's in our room as well. Just another guy to learn from and, just grow with.
When a new guy gets added to the room, like playing wide receiver off waivers, they're supposedly going to bring in another person as well, a wide receiver. When you guys have a new guy enter your room, how do you guys kind of ingratiate that guy into the room?
Yeah, I mean, I think just like any team, you just got to get to know him, and that's not only on the football field, but that's off the field, and just kind of, it's going to be slow because it's a new system, new everything. So you don't want to. At least for me personally, I'm not going to bombard anyone with questions or anything, but, just kind of as the season rolls on and as the, practices go, you kind of just slowly start to figure people out and, build a relationship that way.
Did Adam have any parting words for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, he's really proud of us and he's excited for us. It's just going to be, he's obviously upset and everything, but he's really excited for us and wants us to do well this year.
Did he indicate he really wanted to go back to Minnesota?
I don't know.
How about just, the one flip side of this, people are like, well, will this hurt Bryce's development going into year 3 without a veteran guy like that? How do you respond to that sort of talk?
All I can do is control what I can. So, that's going to just be out. That's going to be being out there, catching the ball and making plays, and that goes for X, T-Mac, Bryson, Demo, Jimmy, everyone else in the room. So it's just everyone's going to have to continue to make plays and just, be there for him.
I know Adam gets a lot of the attention because of the Pro Bowler and his profile around the league, but David Moore has kind of taken on a leadership role with you guys too. How much has he impacted the room over the last couple of years?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Demo's he's just an easy guy to talk to. You have any questions, any help that you need, he's always there. Just a listening ear that, is always available whenever you need him. So I think he's just invaluable to us in our room.
Staying with that, with leadership, you and Xavier in your second years, you guys have quickly become kind of the vets in that room. Do you see yourself stepping in kind of a leadership role now heading into this year?
Yeah, I think it's going to take all of us to kind of step into that role. I'm not going to say that I've figured it all out. I still have a ton to learn. I still try to be a sponge and just continue to soak in all the information I can. And, learning from guys like, Adam, Hunter, those guys, just continue to take pieces from them and learn how they, go about the game, go about their work outside of the field with, rehab and all those things. I continue to just try to learn and, emulate that stuff that they did really well.
I know you played specifically on special teams in that third game. How much did that kind of help you, and how much did you kind of need maybe those reps heading into the season?
Yeah, I think any way I can help the team I'm all in on it. So if that means special teams, receiver, it doesn't matter. So I didn't get a lot of reps at it, through the off season, through the preseason. And then to go in there and to get those live reps definitely helped. And any way that I can be available for the team.
If you're in the top 3, though, will you have to play teams?
Whatever they need me to do.
Have you talked to Hunter over the last 24 hours just to talk to him? He got cut, obviously, but just to see where he was at?
Yeah, I've talked to him, again.
Position yet to where starting to put in game plan for Jacksonville, and what's that been like if you've done it?
Yeah, absolutely. In our room, especially going over their, safeties, corners, what to look for, their tendencies. It's definitely been something that we've been going over.
Thanks, Jim.
Absolutely.
Thank you.